Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 133 of the Hard Truth Diamond Podcast. I know I'm a new face here, Colin.
Well, you're not a new face to me. You've just been on the other side of the camera, so you're kind of new to everybody else. And to be honest, not to have your condescending look staring at me during the podcast.
Well, I'll still be giving you condescending looks.
Oh, you still
just
will be.
Right
I
here.
knew it.
Sorry.
Anyway, so here we are. This is Marvelous Maren from our team. A lot of you have already met her. I named her Marvelous Maren only because of the M. She's not that great, really.
Clearly not. That's why I'm on camera now. Actually, I'm on camera because I'm stealing Katrina's spotlight.
Because she's sick. Her 1-year-old is sick. Yeah. I mean, not that Katrina looks like a mother. Is there such a thing? Is that like a bad comment? Am I gonna hear back from mothers? What I mean by that is, and I say this to Katrina all the time, is other mothers. I mean, this woman went back to shapely, for lack of a better word, seemed like 2 weeks after she had the baby. Everything was gone. The woman's a specimen.
Yeah, she is.
She really is.
Honestly,
anyway,
I feel bad. I feel bad that they're getting me today because Katrina is fun to look at. She's fun to listen to. She's spunky. She's got energy. And then
there's you.
There's me.
Boring. Hey. No fun to look at.
Resentful.
Mean.
Low energy.
Right? Like
ugly.
all the things, everything you don't want. Only your personality's ugly. You're quite a lovely person.
Thank you.
To look at.
I think that's the kindest thing you've ever said to me.
Right? Only your personality.
Wow.
Oh my God, I'm
glad it's on camera.
I'm adorable. That's all I can tell you.
Sure.
Anyway, what are we talking about this week? I know you've been doing lots of research, and that's a question.
It was?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I have been doing research, and it turns out there are a few luxury brands that have embraced lab-grown diamonds over the years.
Luxury. What did we title this week again?
Laboratory-grown luxury.
Laboratory. Who came up with that title?
I'm going to assume you did.
So you've been here now for a number of months. You're enrolled in the Gemological Institute of America. Is it also, puzzling to you how I'm right all the time about everything? And I say this, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish,
Yep.
Okay, before you leap in there. In the diamond industry and my predictions. And here's my next prediction. Did you hear that?
Hear what?
I heard a sound. It went ding.
That's probably the sound of you banging on the microphone.
Oh, really? Okay. It was a technical sound. It went ding, like not a bell. Anyway.
Still going.
We're still good. So my prediction, when I started predicting, and look, I predicted the growth of laboratory-grown diamonds. If you want mined diamonds or laboratory-grown, here's my advice. Wait on the mined for simple reasons, one of them being the fact that the prices of them are falling unbelievably quickly. Lab-grown, I'm predicting that there's going to be a consolidation of suppliers, and we're going to see prices rise in the industry, much like they did with the mine diamond. I mean, it's not a far-fetched thought. My next prediction is a prediction I made some time ago. You can go back in some of our Instagram posts where we talk about LVMH and them investing money in the luxury side of the business. So much so that today, some of their luxury brands, for those of you who don't know who LVMH is, they are the biggest, most successful luxury company in the world, who own brands like Mouton Cadet and, brands like Tiffany and brands like
Fred Jewelry,
the luxury brand.
Tag
Heuer. Look at you. You've done your homework.
Well, guess what? The ones I named are on there on the list of brands that have embraced lab-grown diamonds.
All owned by LVMH.
Yep.
And so what we did today is we realized this. And look, there's been articles from Forbes talking about Tiffany and talking about Tiffany in 2019, would never get into the laboratory grown side of the industry. They didn't consider them luxury. At the same time, LVMH, who owns Tiffany, is creating, doing a heck of a lot of work in a specific area, fancy colored diamonds, to make sure they look like Mother Nature. And there's been this great evolution of natural fancy colored diamonds because of the work that LVMH did. But what was the other part of that?
Well, in terms of colored lab-grown diamonds and incorporating them in luxury brands, Fred, being one of the first ones that actually did so, they particularly were focusing on a specific shade of blue, laboratory-grown diamonds.
That's exactly right.
Because it was nostalgic for the owner, Fred Samuel, the founder of Fred. He found it special due to those reminders of his childhood. So he incorporated that.
Did he have the blues a lot during his childhood?
Something along the lines of the French Riviera.
I am adorable. Did he have the blues? Anyway, you can have the blues now. They're laboratory grown. They're not going to cost you a 1 carat over $1 million US. They're going to be much more reasonable and much more reasonable. But here's what we do our research here. When we get on, we want to be able to talk about things so you can understand them. And the reason I'm never wrong,
when it comes to the diamond industry, specifically.
Certainly not with women. Certainly not. Anyway, I digress. Certainly with the diamond industry, what was I talking about again? Where I was never wrong?
Never wrong.
See, I'm such a narcissist, self-centered narcissist.
You forget what you're even talking about because now you're just thinking about
Unless it's
yourself.
about me.
I know.
Right? If I'm talking about myself, there's no other agenda in front of me. But we were talking about the fact that the future is luxury. And if you don't think luxury lab, look, it has all the markings of a luxury product. If you go out and you look at Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, those little latches and those aren't expensive items. The stitch they use, that's not hard to do, not expensive. It's the brand that makes them expensive. And these are truly, one of the issues the diamond industry has dealt with over the generations, quite literally, is the fact that the environmental impact of the mines and the ethical choices that De Beers, and I'm going to talk specifically about De Beers, and recent ethical bad choices, like when they were spewing mercury into the ground in northern Canada at one of their mines. They were actually criminally charged for that. But I guess in a criminal charge against a company, who do you charge? And these are big, rich, wealthy companies that really don't care.
And they're rarely truly held accountable.
Because they have lawyers that can defeat, what are you going to do? So anyway, right now what we're looking at is a situation where there's evolution of laboratory-grown diamonds. And if you remember, the mine diamond industry came along and said, that they would never last, lab-grown is blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. All bullshit. It's still so much bullshit coming out of the industry because we're looking at a time in history that is literally unprecedented in terms of what's going on. Now, first of all, those mine diamonds, 85% are for industrial use. We're not even talking about that. Economic impact alone on De Beers is crazy. Having said that, when we look at the effect in the marketplace of laboratory-created diamonds as engagement rings, and we just delivered another one to, they just got engaged on Sunday night, they messaged us.
Oh, yeah. Denver. Aren't they in Denver?
Yeah, they were in Denver, Colorado. A referral from a friend who has, this beautiful, flawless 4-carat
Some 4 or 5 even.
Yeah, I can't even remember anymore. We do so many of them these days, you guys. But this is true. This is a true luxury product. They're the most beautiful in the world, visually and technically. Imagine what you would pay for a mined diamond that is the most beautiful in the world, visually and technically. No one can tell the difference. And this is another thing, you guys, the industry has been BSing you about, is that these jewelers have these little testers on their shelves in their jewelry stores, where I want to talk about the word synthetic as well, again, to make my point, but shelves in jewelry stores that are non-conclusive. So people go in thinking jewelers are being straight up and showing them this and giving them this information, when the information, I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10, but I'm comfortable in the 8 out of 10 at times range, is not only misleading, it's absolutely misrepresented. And this is what you have to be careful of out there in the diamond world, is if you hear the word synthetic is not what lab-grown diamonds are. They're not synthetic diamonds. The powerful Federal Trade Commission of the United States says it. And my favorite one is when they went on to the it would be like the, how would I describe RapNet when it comes to mined diamonds, and how much they hate laboratory-grown diamonds, and how many misrepresentations and lies they told. I was just published somewhere, or the podcast was, right, where they were talking about, we're talking about the fact that these guys are misleading people with what they say. The word synthetic. And Rappaport Diamond Report is the absolute, what's a good word to describe them as? The absolute.
They're pretty biased, I would say.
Biased is a very good word. We'll go with that towards the mined diamond industry. And it was interesting because they had the top GIA scientist on, a woman named Johansson out of the New York lab, who came on, and she was on the podcast, and it's a very good podcast. I like to listen to it, although it is absolutely filled with a lot of misinformation and a lot of one-sided views. And we try to maintain open-mindedness here, and we still are pro-choice. But she's on there, and they're using the word synthetic to describe laboratory-grown diamonds. And this lovely woman sort of sits up in the middle of the interview and goes, she stops the interview. I'm surprised they actually let this part even air. Where she stops the interview and goes, well, when you guys use the word synthetic, you're misleading people because they're not synthetic. Can you imagine? It's crazy to think about. The material is identical. So this leads to more questions when it comes to these sorts of things, is if they're identical, how do you know your mined diamond isn't laboratory created? Because this was going on in the industry for decades. And top experts in the world, I had an office in Antwerp, Belgium for 15 years, which for 450 years was the center of the diamond universe. I bought in the Bourse there, very prestigious, another top prestigious position I held in the industry. And we couldn't tell. And De Beers has been working with laboratory-grown diamonds since the 50s, when they started with, and everybody has this wrong, actually, in the industry. They think it was with General Electric, but it wasn't. It was with Union Carbide. They were doing them for industrial purposes. Where did these diamonds come from in the industry that were so identical to what De Beers was controlling in the industry? It's not that big a mystery, I don't think. Anyway, that's what we're dealing with today. And the past is the past. We've got to look to the future. And so, it's early in January. I'm going to get my crystal ball out. Go grab my crystal ball, would you, Maren?
Do you have an actual crystal ball?
No, I don't.
You should have
No,
a diamond ball.
I do not. I don't want to mislead anybody. I do not have a crystal ball.
Your
I
crystal
do
ball
not-
is in here.
This is the crystal ball. That's exactly it right here. And so where can we go? What's going to happen? It's ethical. It's environmentally friendly. And I know they still want to make the case where they use so much electricity, but you have the green ethical diamonds that are coming out of India, which, you know, the head of the Prime Minister of India, if you recall, gave one of them to Joan Biden, the former, and is it ever former today, First Lady of the United States, where they're completely created through solar power. The industry has changed. The industry has changed forever. The bell has not been unrung. It's not going to be unrung. The popularity of these laboratory-grown diamonds in the biggest jewelry component of the industry, engagement rings, is undeniable, and it's not changing. And, you know, we get a lot of text here, and I want to tell you something. When people, I got a text for a 2-carat H or I color, horrible, indecent color, because they're dark. They're dark diamonds. There's no other word for them. If your jeweler tells you that it's a good, there's a couple of problems. If they tell you it's a good color to buy, I can tell you 2 things. It's old inventory, so it's overpriced and sitting on shelves somewhere because the prices of mined diamonds have dropped so much. But I feel like I'm talking a lot.
You always talk a lot.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, I just think Katrina does a better job at interrupting you than I do.
Really?
I don't feel like I'm there
Because this
yet.
is your first time. You don't feel you have
Yeah.
you don't seem to you don't seem to have a problem interrupting me any other time. You don't have a problem ignoring me. You don't have a problem talking back to me. You don't have a problem. Ignoring me is a big one. You seem to have developed already the ability to just kind of tune me out altogether.
I'm doing it right now. I have a special ability to tune him out when he starts blabbering on about absolutely nothing, and I'm trying to
This is
work.
important. This isn't, when you're trying to work, okay? But this is important stuff. Anyway, so tell us, maybe we should talk about you a little bit so they get to know you better.
Sure.
So GIA course, what's the most interesting thing you've learned?
That I've learned. Well, I don't know if you know this, but
I told her I was going to ask this question, so let's see what the answer is.
well, it wasn't hard for me to come up with it because.
By the way, I'm paying for the GIA.
Are you going to let me talk, or are you going to
Okay.
keep interrupting me?
Okay, see?
The claws are coming out.
Right?
Be careful.
They're always out.
It could get ugly.
You're mean.
Anyways, as I was saying, wasn't hard for me to come up with my favorite, most interesting thing I've learned because I do happen to be a little bit of a chemistry nerd. Chemistry was my best subject in high school.
You
believe
can
it or
leave
not.
the word chemistry off there altogether.
Well, between you and me, not much. But in terms of my knowledge, in high school was my best subject because I just found it fascinating. And turns out there's very, very fascinating things to do with diamonds when you really get into the science of them. You know, the molecular makeup, the difference between what kind of atoms diamonds are made up of versus other similar, I guess, synthetic materials like spinel and cubic zirconia and those. But the most interesting thing, actually a fun fact that I did not know, is that diamonds can withstand any and all acids. Did you know that?
Like the acid I took in high school? Like
I don't know
wait,
about that
diamonds
acid.
do acid?
Well, have you ever seen Breaking Bad?
I started to watch it, but it was too much for me.
Yeah, anyways, there's a particular bathtub scene that involves hydrochloric acid.
Right.
And let's just say if the guy in the bathtub had been wearing diamonds, they wouldn't have dissolved.
So let's say, you know, I have this theory. I have a lot of clients who get their wives some really beautiful, beautiful stuff, and a lot of it. And what I used to suggest is, you know, and this is going to sound completely wrong, but in kind of kidding around.
Disclaimer doesn't make it any
I
less
would tell
wrong.
them, look, all you do to get rid of your wife after a few years is you don't divorce anymore with all the heavy, beautiful gold diamond jewelry. You take her fishing like you love her and push her into the water, and she goes straight to the bottom because of the weight of the gold. And when they recover the body, they would be going, oh my goodness, he must have really loved her. I mean, we can speed this up by just putting her into hydrochloric acid. Is that what you're telling me?
Pretty much.
And you still get the diamonds back?
You do.
Yeah, there's a whole new step I missed.
I know.
Okay.
You're completely behind.
And the guys, there's mostly women watch our podcast right now. We can make this about the guys now.
Men wear diamond jewelry too.
Hey, he must have really loved her.
But if you buy her certified diamonds, it'll come back to you.
Well, but that's my whole point. Well, only in the acid vat. In the ocean, he can say, I don't know what happened. She just went straight to the bottom.
Oh,
right?
that's true.
All the weight from the gold and diamonds.
That's true. Why are we talking about murder methods right now?
I don't know. I just have these things in my mind.
This is what happens when you and I get on camera together,
There's a lot going on in here behind the scenes. And I think, everybody's been telling me now that we have Donald Trump in power, I can literally talk about anything I want. Do you know, I have a son who plays professional hockey. Mm-hmm. And so the word fuck was a word I would never use on here. Yet I would be at hockey games or watching hockey, and it's quite a common word. And then, I was on yesterday, all of a sudden, on social media, because I love TikTok. I'm a little bit TikTok famous and going to become a lot more now that I can say exactly what I want without fear of being banned. Without fear of, shadow banning or anything else. I mean, and so all of a sudden, we're hearing all these other podcasters, all these other social media people. I'm reading a great book right now. I forget the author's name, but it's called Five. You know what? I got to look because it's such a good book on motivation and moving forward. And her story was so interesting. Sorry, I shut my phone off during the podcast to focus.
Because you don't know how to put it on silent. After the 10 times that I've tried to show you.
I grew up the middle of 4 sisters, and I was, what's the word? Not chirped on, but I was sort of hassled a lot.
Well, you'd think you'd learn something.
Okay. Okay, it's the 5-second rule is the name of the book, okay? And she's quite popular. Anyway, the book's a motivational book. And why am I talking about this book?
You started talking about your son, and now you're talking about books.
Oh, so this lovely woman who is beyond reproach, she's a lawyer, she starts using the F-bomb. And I think if she's using the F-bomb, it's okay for me to use the F-bomb. Not that I'm a huge fan of it, but if it's going to get us more viewers and more business. Is that wrong?
I like how you're leaning right into it.
Right?
Why not?
Why not? I mean, it's called free speech, and don't even get me going on that. And, I'll tell you this, after the last 4 years, and look, I'm not liberal, I'm not conservative, but free speech to me is fundamental. And so I'll probably never use those words again on my podcast, but there. So
we're at 24
minutes. Mm-hmm. Time flies with you. Holy smokes, that was amazing.
Wow.
Huh?
There you go.
So, everybody, look, we're here with information. The next evolution is going to be luxury. It's luxury. It's lab-grown luxury, and don't mistake it. It's already out there. You have brands like Dior who are into lab-grown luxury. By the way, you're going to see different articles if you Google it where Tiffany is concerned, where in 2019, was it a Forbes article?
Yes.
Or is that the more recent one? And what was
is
the
the
more
Forbes.
recent one? So Forbes said they'd never get into lab-grown luxury, and now apparently that's changed. Look, the mine diamond industry is in a great deal of trouble. One of the biggest things that I think about a lot is this story they've been giving people for generations that, diamonds, only the cut matters for beauty. No, it doesn't. The most important consideration in a diamond for beauty is transparency. And if you don't think it is, bet me. 5,000 US, we can put it up to 50,000 on that one.
Wow.
But enough's enough. The truth has to come out. When I came out of retirement to come back here to do this podcast, to say, look, these are the facts of the industry. That's what I'm providing. My background in the industry today is I'm kind of, we're starting to get some recognition for this, for my credibility in the industry, because no one has my background, from representing the most prestigious diamond mines in the world to opening national jewelry store chains to being mentored by the absolute elite of the industry from the mine to the marketplace. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. At the time, I was just doing what I loved, but when we reflect on it now and look, I'm kind of the GOAT, which is kind of crazy to think about. So when I talk about these things, I'm talking about them for you. I came back and started to do TikTok when I didn't even know what TikTok was, so we could provide you the facts of the industry. I wrote something down about that today, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but you need to know the facts. We have an Australian client messaging us the other day and saying, about, I heard that from her jeweler that lab diamonds look grayish. I mean, look,
Yeesh.
no, it won't be for the last time. There is absolutely no difference. Well, there's two differences: price and origin. Anyway, that's it. You're going to see luxury. Bet on it. And Maren, it's been nice having you on here.
Thank you.
It's
It wasn't
nice.
as horrible as I thought it would be.
Well, it's nice to have you beside me so I don't get condescending looks I can't see the condescending looks. I probably still get them.
Yeah, the camera will know.
Look, you guys, we're grateful to have you here. If you've got questions, we've got answers. This is episode 133. And Happy New Year for the last time. And we're here to help. We're here to answer your questions. We're here to also broker you the world's most beautiful diamonds. Start looking for rare rock. Last year, the revenues of this company tripled. Okay, I had no intention of doing it. But this year, look for rare rock. There's another prediction. I'm going to make it right at the end here. The future is intelligent luxury. Why pay retail? Who pays retail in 2025? You well. How was that? Was that good?
Yeah.
You like that? It's just the facts. God bless you guys.